You thought it was just a nostalgic return to your childhood. The familiar pink and green colors, the wacky magic, the wish-making we all grew up with. But the new Fairly Odd Parents, A New Wish, isn't what you remember, and it's definitely not made for children anymore. Have you noticed how quiet Nickelodeon has been about certain episodes? There's a reason for that. If you haven't caught up with the newest iteration of Fairly Odd Parents, let me bring you up to speed. The show centers around Hazel, not Timmy Turner, a young girl dealing with loss, neglect, and isolation. Yes, you heard that right. Gone are the days of silly wishes and comical mishaps. While Cosmo and Wanda are still present, they're more like shadows of their former selves, echoes of a simpler time that the show deliberately leaves behind. But wait, you might say, Fairly Odd Parents was always about a kid with problems. And you'd be right. Timmy had negligent parents and a mean babysitter, but there was always a lightheartedness to it all, a cartoon logic that kept things from getting too heavy. Not anymore. The animation style itself speaks volumes. The softer edges, muted color palette during emotional scenes, and longer lingering shots create an atmosphere that feels more like an indie coming-of-age film than a Saturday morning cartoon. What's most jarring is how the show uses its magical elements not as solutions, but as metaphors for deeper psychological struggles. When Hazel makes wishes, they often reveal more about her inner turmoil than they actually solve. Let's talk about what Nickelodeon doesn't want to highlight in their promotional material. Episode 7 features an extended flashback sequence where Hazel remembers the day her mother disappeared. The scene plays out in near silence, just ambient sounds and a soft piano score, as young Hazel waits by the window, watching raindrops race down the glass, counting each one as hours pass. No explanation is given. No closure is offered. Just a child's confusion and pain. Then there's the episode that fans have dubbed The Vanishing, where Hazel, after a particularly rough day at school, wishes she would just disappear. Rather than playing this for laughs, the episode takes us through what can only be described as a child's experience of depersonalization. Hazel becomes literally transparent as people look through her, forget her, and continue their lives without noticing her absence. Sound like a fun kids show yet? Perhaps most concerning is the portrayal of Hazel's father, a man clearly struggling with his own depression, shown through subtle visual cues. The untouched coffee cups, the same clothes worn days in a row, the vacant stares. His emotional absence is palpable, creating what child psychologists would immediately recognize as a neglectful environment. In one particularly haunting scene, Hazel attempts to show her father a perfect test score, only for him to nod absently, his attention fixed on nothing in particular. Cosmo and Wanda exchange worried glances, a small moment that speaks volumes. So why is Nickelodeon marketing this as a fun revival of a beloved children's show? The trailers are deliberately misleading, showcasing the few slapstick moments and magical hijinks while completely omitting the show's emotional core. It's a bait and switch that has left parents confused and some children upset. What's more telling is what happened after the initial release. 3 episodes, including The Vanishing, were temporarily removed from streaming platforms before being quietly reinstated with no explanation. Fan forums speculated that the content was deemed too intense, but Nickelodeon has remained silent on the matter. Industry insiders I've spoken with suggest there was internal conflict about the show's direction. One anonymous source close to production mentioned that the original pitch was much lighter, but as development continued, The creative team pushed for something that could speak to the real experiences of today's children. The psychological drama at the heart of A New Wish is unprecedented for the network. Shows like Hey Arnold and Rugrats certainly had their emotional moments, but they never dwelled in the darkness the way this reboot does. Have you noticed how few merchandise tie-ins there are? For a major revival like this, the lack of toys and promotional products speaks volumes about Nickelodeon's uncertainty about what they've created. In a rare interview with Animation magazine, lead writer Emma Larson stated, "This show is about pain, but with a sparkle of magic. We wanted to create something that acknowledges the complex emotional lives of children today." When pressed about whether the content was appropriate for younger viewers, Larson responded, "Children understand far more than we give them credit for. They experience grief, loneliness, and fear. Our show doesn't create these feelings. It validates them." But does that sound like the Fairly OddParents we knew? Does that sound like a show targeted at the same demographic that Nickelodeon has built its brand around? The network's silence on the matter is deafening. No press releases addressing the tonal shift, no explanations for the temporary removal of episodes, just business as usual, as if expecting no one would notice or question the dramatic departure from the original series. What we're witnessing isn't simple nostalgia bait. It's not just another reboot designed to cash in on millennial memories. A New Wish is something far more ambitious and complicated, an attempt to use a familiar franchise as a vehicle for telling deeper, more meaningful stories about childhood trauma and resilience. And that's precisely why Nickelodeon seems so conflicted about it. It breaks their carefully constructed brand image. It challenges the unwritten rule that children's animation should prioritize fun over emotional authenticity. It risks alienating parents who expect certain things from a channel with such a long-established identity. Yet, despite all this, or perhaps because of it, Fairly OddParents, A New Wish might be one of the most important animated series in recent years. It respects its audience enough to tell them the truth, that magic can't fix everything, that adults don't have all the answers, and that childhood isn't always the carefree time we pretend it is. The question remains, is Nickelodeon ready to stand behind that message? Or will they continue to market sunshine while delivering storms? What do you think? Is animation ready for this level of emotional honesty? Let me know in the comments below, and if you've spotted other moments in the show that support this reading, share them with the community. Thanks for watching. If this analysis resonated with you, hit subscribe for more deep dives into the shows we only thought we understood.